I have a secret to tell. Is that okay? Yeah? Okay, so despite my good looks and my mature appearance, I'm actually a high school student. Okay, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. In my 13 years of educational experience, I remember walking into English class and sitting down as our teacher would walk to the front of the room with a novel to be read together as a class. It's a pretty common story I'm sure you've all heard of. It's the type of thing that's been going on since school. I've read countless books, and I've written plenty of stories too, but I know that sometimes these English classes can actually be quite boring. Now, don't get me wrong, I love to read and write, but I never would have imagined myself to be reading a novel that discussed teenage boys literally murdering each other and be bored while doing it. And yet there I was. When I talked to my classmates about it, many of them said similar things, and as I thought about it, I realized that it was the prescribed reading and the writing that made me second guess my passions. So it isn't surprising to find out that writing, something seemingly almost exclusively done for academic purposes at my age, isn't, at least in my experience, particularly enjoyed. According to the National Endowment for the Arts in 2022, only about half of Americans had read a book that year. According to Statista, less than half that number claimed to enjoy a hobby of writing, which means that only a small slice of this American pie can experience what I call the writing zone. The writing zone is an infinite creative studio in which perspective can be reframed to understand life and human interaction. The writing zone is a place where you are invited to be the agent of your own destiny. For me, the writing zone has taught me skills that I hope to take into a career, my goals, and all of my relationships. In short, the writing zone has become one of my favorite places to spend my time. Now, let me take you way back, 4 years ago, to when I first found the writing zone. At 14, the question, what do you want to be when you grow up, was one I had been asked over and over again. First, I wanted to be a doctor. Then I wanted to be an engineer or an architect. And then I wanted to be a venture capitalist. I don't even know what that is, or what they do, or who they even are, but it all felt so possible. Still, nothing really stood out, so I just kept on with school every day, trying to get people to like me for me, or honestly, even just like me. It didn't really matter too much. But then I remember coming home from school and sitting in my chair and spinning in circles as a massive world formed inside my mind. The mythical mountains of my imagination became land, and my characters stepped from my mind to my palm. The love and joy those characters felt became my own, and the trials and sadness that I, as the author, had to put them through became mine too. It was empathy unleashed, which wasn't especially good because my first book was a tragedy, but it was amazing to be living in your own world and creating it at the same time. It was like when I was in this zone, I could talk to my characters as if they really stood next to me. And in this zone, it wasn't about writing what someone else or a teacher wanted me to say. It was about writing what my imagination wanted to tell. One of my biggest insights from the writing zone is how I understand others. As a human, you often find yourself in boxes. For me, I was in the science, math, history, and logic box, but I didn't consider myself a member of the art box. That not only made me feel like I could never be good at art, but honestly, I think I looked down a little on those who were artists. When I wrote, though, I discovered why people really do art. They do it for fun or to express themselves in a way that numbers just can't. They do it to create beauty or community, to give or get support. They do it to relive experiences or to imagine those yet to come. And so, as I entered this writing zone again and again, I started to look around me. And I saw those glass boxes that separated everyone into cliques and categories start to melt away. Because I finally realized that no one truly fits into one of those boxes. No one. With this in mind, I started to apply this perspective to my own life. Just a few months ago, I found myself getting laid off from my second real job. It stung. I thought I worked hard picking up tumbleweeds and organizing and cleaning, and honestly, I just did the things that no one else wanted to do. But as I thought about it more and more, I thought back to my stories. What inspired me about those stories, it wasn't the romance, and it wasn't the treasure or the power that was gained by the character at the end. I realized that what really inspired me was the change in character forged by trials. That was what really inspired me. So I decided that if I wanted to take a page out of their book, I would have to use my trials to propel me forwards, just as those characters did. And so I did just that, and it worked amazingly. As I've entered this writing zone more and more, I've started to see my perspective change on how I really view and feel about others. I think that no one in here actually has some sort of green witch standing in the way of some ruby slippers that you want. But I think that everyone here has some sort of ruby slippers and some sort of green witch standing in the way of them. Everyone in here carries with them goals and experiences and weights every single day. And understanding that makes it so much easier to understand why some people seem so mean or sad. Entering the writing zone has you write the people that are going through these trials. You write people with backgrounds of pain that look normal on the outside. And so entering this writing zone really helps you to understand empathy. Honestly, your writing zone experience probably won't look like mine. Everybody has so many different experiences and stories that each time in this zone is different. And I can't lead you to this place like it has a map, because it doesn't. And I can't train your heart to want this, because that's what it really takes. With that being said, I can give you a few tips to try and enter it. First, just write. Write what you had for lunch, or even better, what you wish you had for lunch. Write a fantastical sentence. Write a monotone paragraph. Write a sonnet with your dreams trapped inside. Just write, but write consistently. Second, don't worry about mistakes. Don't worry about spell check. Don't worry about perfection. Don't even worry about that missing comma. Look around you. Does this world fall apart because of a missing comma? No. So neither should yours. Write and don't let anything distract you. Third, don't stress. Don't worry about work or assignments, and don't even worry about entering the writing zone. Yes, it is as hard as it sounds, but it is so worth it. Entering the writing zone for me has helped me to understand my life in a new way. And not only that, but because of this zone, I've written 4 books, which I think is pretty cool. Thank you. Entering the writing zone can help you see your life in a new light, or maybe even shed light on a part that you've never noticed before. Not only that, but entering the writing zone can help you exercise your empathy muscles to understand each other stronger. And entering the writing zone can help you finish that novel or start the one you never did. So, take the first step and enter the writing zone.